Hello everybody. That was a sea chanty by the Norman Luboff choirs in Songs of the Sea. That was the Boston Come All Ye, which is one of my favorite sea chanties. It reminds me of spending the summer with my mom and dad and my brothers. We'd go to the pier and to the beach, and we'd go to museums in the summertime and just see everything that we could. I was always fascinated by the ocean, and my dad was in the Navy, and he was very fond of everything about the ocean and fish too. So I made a project about the fish and about fish in the ocean. This is partially for children, but it's also for adults, for nostalgia, for the things that we remember. I always was fascinated by amusement parks and carnivals, and one of the things that fascinated me the most was the commercial artwork that they used, and so that's what I based this project on. Sorry about the camera moving there. Okay, this is a painting that I did. This is Octopus Garden. That was also a song by the Beatles, which my dad really liked. For being born in the mid-1920s, he had a very eclectic taste in music. He loved everything from sea chanties to pipes and classical music, and even the Beatles and Peter, Paul and Mary. And so this picture, when I was painting it, really reminded me of my dad when we would sit on the couch and play Octopus's Garden and sing along with it. That was a really great memory. He'd tell me all about octopuses and squid and the things that he knew about in the ocean. I wish he could have seen the better photography that we had later that really showed up all the colors, because back then when we watched things on TV, everything was kind of bluish gray, and he knew that wasn't the real color of things, you know, around coral reefs, but that's all that they would show on TV at the time. And the other thing, so that's Octopus's Garden, and this is a giant clam and an old-fashioned deep sea diver with his full suit and his airline that goes to the surface of the water. It just amazes me that anybody would ever go down in the water wearing something like that for your life to depend on it. But that was an amazing time in history. And my dad also used to tell me about the commercial art that when he was a kid that they would have around fairs and carnivals, and he told me about how they might promise on the artwork that you were going to see something really fantastic, and sometimes it would be when you got inside and after you paid your money, it would just be a small representation of what they promised that you would see. For instance, instead of seeing a gigantic, monstrous blue octopus with purple eyes, you might just see a little tiny octopus that was a lot more dull in color than what they might show on their advertising. But you know, the advertising was a lot of the fun because there was a big build-up to it, and it just made your imagination just go wild, trying to imagine what you might see once you got through the flap of the tent. This is a replica of a sea diver. This was actually a tiki mug that was sold a few years ago by a company in Hawaii called Mahalo Tiki, and they just sold all these drink mugs that were in different shapes, and they had one that was a sea diver, so I had to get it. Unfortunately, they seem to be out of business now. They were a really good company. So some people will still have some of the mugs that they made. And here, just for fun, I made a friendly sea serpent, also known as a sea slurpent. This is what I always imagined. When I was a kid, I imagined that if I saw a sea serpent, it would look something like this. So that's why I painted him to look like that, with that kind of a big seahorse's head and purple dots on him, purple bumps all over him. And then I painted one of my favorite fish. This is a ocean sunfish. That's the fish that I knew about when I was 10 years old, because my grandmother left my brother some wonderful books that had all of these interesting animals from all over the world and American wildlife. Actually, she bought, my grandmother and grandfather bought my brother those books when he was a kid, and he loaned them to me, so I have the books. And I learned what an ocean sunfish was at the time, the fact that it likes to rest by floating on the surface of the water, and seagulls sometimes sit on it when it's floating on the top of the water, and they're huge. A diver would be about the size of one of those fins on his back, or not even as tall as the fins on their back. So they're a fascinating fish, and I hope they never become endangered, because I really love them. They're just so interesting in their shape. They eat jellyfish. That's the main diet that they eat. And this is an old retro castle, probably from the 1950s. Could even be a little bit older than that. If you are interested in old illustrative commercial art and interested in old decor, there is a channel called the Museum of Aquarium History. I was thinking Aquarium Society for a minute. I was trying to think of what it was, but it's the Museum of Aquarium History, and they have tons and tons of stuff like this old artwork, and they have old antique fish bowls and old aquariums and old aquarium stands. So be sure to check out that channel if you're interested in that kind of thing. And this is the kind of project that I love to do. It's different than my normal paintings. Something like this could be used as a display in a library for children, in the children's section, to get them interested in either painting or the ocean, or history of commercial art, all kinds of things. So I wanted to share this with you today. I have it displayed on my chest here for the summertime. I was painting it during the early months of spring, and it was so cold it was hard for me to paint this, because it was hard to even think about water back then, but it sure looks nice to see it now when it's gotten a lot hotter. And thank you for joining me today. I'll be back again soon.